Hey, my name is Kyle, and here at CIA, we look at data and facts behind crypto projects to help you make a more informed decision and hopefully cut through the opium. Today, we're doing an update on oGPU, and usually I get slack for being bearish, but I think that's because I just try to be honest and show you, the facts behind the project, the good and the bad. But I think oGPU could possibly be compared to Solana in the future. We'll get into it, and I'll tell you why. So let's get into the deep dive. Now we're going to do a real quick review because most people probably haven't heard of this project. And then we'll look at kind of how I look at crypto projects to help you better understand why I think oGPU could be, a really big blue chip this cycle. And after that, we'll get into some of the more specific updates that they've had. Now, this project is, by the founder's words, blockchain for AI, which tells me that he's aiming to do more than most of the other DePIN projects out there on the market. And we'll get into the reason here. They're creating a layer one. They should have fast network with high TPS, and his ability to do that comes from their experience doing B2B blockchains and some governmental blockchains as well. But the selling point here, the technology, is they have a scalable solution compared to the competitors. BitTensor is a very similar project, and they share some of the technology, but it's not as scalable. They have different subnets, so they can run the load that they have received from customer interest. Now, one of the other differentiators is they will protect customers' code, and that's important for AI training and inference because you have projects that are closed source, like OpenAI is a good example of a big one. And OpenAI would not want to share their code with anyone. And a lot of the current projects, you do have to share your code when you go out and do the training and inference. And that code basically could be stolen. And if you have IP in your code, you think that's like, the technology that is leading to your business success, you wouldn't want to do that. So being able to open up a whole additional set of customers is a big differentiator for oGPU if they're able to pull that off. Now, one thing I got wrong in the last video was I looked at the Explorer of oGPU and counted 1,400 different GPUs on the network. But I talked with the team, and they actually only have 200 tier ones. I think it's 10 tier twos and 80 tier three GPUs. And the tiers are just tier ones are better. They've got more processing power. Tier twos, are in the middle, and then tier threes are the lowest ones. And I don't ding them too much for this, just because every GPU DePIN project seems to get this count wrong. So I would like to see projects get better at verifying this and making sure that their counts are correct. But like I said, since it's so prevalent, I really can't ding them too much. They just basically say, hey, they're not at the level I thought they were. But I do think that their technology will make up for that and will allow them to increase that count in the future. But time will tell. So I actually had to remake this video because I just learned from the founder. He posted in a Telegram chat that this project's not going to be just GPU computing. They'll have a full stack, which opens up the possibility of creating additional projects. And to understand why it's a big deal, we'll get into the higher level analysis later, and I can explain it. But they'll have CPU computing, they will have storage, as well as the GPU layer on the network, and that makes them more of an AWS. And they also have a staking pool. So if you're into staking, it's live now. You can go earn some rewards on your tokens. But the reason I say they could possibly be valued as a Solana in the future, and we have to learn more information about this, but they're introducing a new token standard, ORC20, which is supposed to decrease the number of scam coins that are put on the network based on a DAO that approves, like a community approved token launch. And we'll get into that a little deeper, but it's very interesting to me. They're also are developing an open DEX, which the founder says is crucial to the project's architecture. And I can only take his word for it now, but just the fact that they're able to execute on all these things, and we'll see what comes out of the testnet, just shows that they have a pretty big team behind them. That's able to do the work and high level and good at execution. The testnet is coming out in June, and mainnet launch is scheduled for September. If you're getting value from this video, I appreciate you watching and would love to get a sub from you, and you'll get a notification the next time I put out an update on oGPU or cover another project in depth. I really appreciate you guys. My audience has been fantastic, and I would not be here without you. So I really appreciate you guys. A quick tokenomics review. It was a fair launch token. Now, the team did buy after the launch. It's got a very low supply of 21 million tokens. The max wallet size is only 2%, and they do have a tax on buy and sell right now of 5%. There were a couple of buybacks from the team, which is nice to see, kind of like a stock buyback if you're into stocks and public companies. And the allocation of the tokens, they've got 100% locked up in LP for 21 years. Pretty much the rest is circulating or staked. So to understand what I see in oGPU, you first have to understand like how I look at businesses. And one of the common ways to look at businesses is a moat. Now, a business moat is just something that protects a business from its competitors. And there's a couple ways to do this. So you can see them listed on the screen here, but the two that oGPU have, or at least are working on, is technology is the first one, and a strong brand. And the reason technology is so important is if you're able to create a solution that is tough to replicate or unreplicable because nobody else understands how to do it or has the skill to do it, well, then you're basically in a class of your own. So if oGPU is able to execute on this the technology that they claim to have, well, then they're not just another Node AI or Akash, or Hash AI or any of these projects or Filecoin even. They're actually a step above them on their technology, and that doesn't mean BitTensor is going away, but it does mean that a project like oGPU would be able to get more market share because their solution is not only cheaper, but it's better for the customers. Now, they're also working on building a strong brand, and that's pretty important. Customer loyalty and community is very important in crypto, as most people probably already know. And a couple projects that have done a really great job at that was Chainlink in the last cycle. I'm sure that if you've been around crypto, you've heard from the Chainlink maxis, and ICP in this cycle is got a lot of people who are really, really behind the project, and that's because of their technology and the way they develop their community. And oGPU is similar in the fact that they're trying to create a organic-based community. So growth might be a little slower to start, but when you create a community like that, it really creates a project that has a lot of long-term holders that believe in the project and are less likely to sell. Now, the other thing that's very important when I look at any business is the total addressable market. Basically, it's like how many, if you're going fishing, like how many fish are there to catch, right? Like how many dollars can your business bring in? If you're in a smaller market, you've got fewer dollars. That doesn't mean it's a bad business. But if you're in a larger market and you have some sort of differentiator that allows you to capture a bigger piece of that pie, well, then your project or your business just became a lot more interesting, especially when you're at an early stage like this. So because they're going to be a full stack and able to capture more than just the GPU market, we got to look at, they got GPUs market TAM. It's estimated to be about 400 billion by 2027. CPUs is already 800 billion, 1.2 trillion by 2027 is what the estimates are. And cloud storage is estimated to be 340 billion by 2029. Now, the other reason that this is interesting being full stack is it's going to allow oGPU to create additional projects, so they can make modules that not only are GPU, they're not only CPU, they're not only cloud storage, but they can combine them for solutions that IT and tech companies need. And if you want to understand more about how these solutions solve additional problems, you just have to look at AWS. If you go on AWS, you can rent different types of services, and some of them combine CPUs and storage. Some of them are GPU only. But the thing is, being able to combine these is you get customers that instead of having to go to a bunch of different vendors, they can just use one vendor. And for a big company, that is really important because vendor management is a pain in the A. Like it is not fun. So if you're able to, and it costs more money to manage multiple vendors. So if you're able to go to a one-stop supply for that, a lot of companies would rather do that than piecemeal between different services, right? Different companies for different services. So That is also another benefit of having a full stack solution. Now, if they do end up being valued as something like a Solana, I don't have TAM for that, but looking at Solana's market cap right now, they're a $77 billion market cap, which is huge. And like I said, we have to learn more about what this ORC20 standard is, and to understand like if it will capture some of Solana's marketplace and market cap, and how significant that could be. Now, some updates on the product. They actually just announced that the validator is in beta testing and will be launching soon. They did a little preview of it. Let's look at it right now, actually, because it's hot off the press. So this is the validator demo. And the first thing I noticed is up at the top, you have two different earnings. You have earnings from your GPU, which I assume is any of the tasks that your GPU completes. And this is if you stake your GPU to the network and allow it for processing. And on the right, you got POS earnings, which is a proof of stake earnings. So it looks like you earn also for validating the network, basically keeping the network safe and keeping bad actors off the network. So this is interesting. Maybe you could grasp more from it. I'm not super technical, so take a look. And if you notice anything about it, put it down in the comments. Would love to hear your thoughts on this validator demo. More about the AWS type of model. So there'll be some SDKs, which basically just means there'll be some modules that people can use for rendering, AI training, AI inference, obviously now storage and CPU processing, and then a combination of those depending on different IT tasks that companies need. So I think that is big, and AWS is doing $100 billion a year in earnings. So if OpenGPU is able to capture a fraction of that market, it'd be very good for oGPU, right? Now, a little bit about the ORC20 token standard and the Open DEX. The Open DEX will have a 1% fee for launching tokens, and these funds will be put up by the person creating the token, and then there's be an Open DAO that votes on whether this project, is a scam and should be approved and listed on the DEX, or if it shouldn't be the proposal. If the proposal is denied, those funds will be returned to the person who initiated the request. As far as the current it's the current structure that has been laid out. It sounds like there will be an Open DEX token. The fee will be will buy back that 1% fee for listing. Will be buy back oGPU, so that makes oGPU a deflationary token, and I think that's good news for oGPU holders. Now, the ORC20 will combine the best of ERC20 and token metadata standards, which is why I said this might be a Solana comparison. We'll see what happens in the future. Now, there will be a private sale of the Open DEX token to the top 50 oGPU holders, but you can also earn a bonus for staking. Those all the details of that have not come out yet, but I sure will be posted in the Telegram at some point. They also released a roadmap here a couple weeks ago. You can read through this. Some of these things have been executed on, which is fast execution, in my opinion. Now, it's always easier to execute in the beginning, and then as a business grows, it becomes a little more difficult. But it seems to me like the team and the founder understand how to manage a dev team. So if they're able to continue that, I think that's the biggest question I have on the project. But we'll see how these different roadmap pieces pan out over the next coming weeks. Now, this slide isn't as much about the Open DEX as it is about an intangible that I kind of see in this project and kind of saw early on. Now, what's happening here is he announced the Open DEX, and a lot of investors were like, okay, that's great, but this is a GPU project. Like, why do you need a DEX? Isn't that going to distract you from the mission of this project? And that is a valid concern as an investor. But this post that he put up just tells me that he understands how to speak with investors and keep investor confidence high, which also tells me that like his claim that he works for, has worked for governments and developed blockchains for enterprise is probably true, because you don't learn how to talk to investors like this unless you really do have that B2B experience. You really have to know how to talk to higher level people. And he kind of ran a little bit of concern that was coming up about being able to handle all these tasks. And in this post, he says, "Hey, this DEX is actually integral to what we're trying to do here at oGPU. It needs to be done, and we have the capacity to do this and the GPU project as well. So we'll see how it pans out. But I think this is a really good intangible sign that the team is very experienced, very well versed in B2B and enterprise solutions, and that's what you need to see for a project of this scale. So we already talked about the team a bit, but one of the things I want to point out, he's very transparent in Telegram chat, and has actually taken DM conversations into the chat. And what that tells me is he's confident about his solution and his skills and ability to develop a cutting edge project. Now, of course, when it comes to a new technology, there's never any promises, but just the fact that he's willing to do that, I think it says a lot about like what he knows and what he has. Right, he's not trying to hide anything, so I think that's a good sign. Also, the founder is traveling through Asia right now, visiting with potential partners. It sounds like he is going to Singapore, and he's going to incorporate the Open GPU Foundation in Singapore. And some of the other team members are in consensus right now in Austin, and they're talking to devs, potential partners, and investors. So is getting the word out organically, and I think we've seen some good price action recently because of that. Now, looking at the rest of the team does take feedback from the community in the Telegram, which I think is a great sign. The devs are in the chat to answer technical questions. I think this is more important when testnet launches and you have more devs involved. And recently, they also did a private KYC with Certik. And Certik is one of the leading, if not the best, audit firm in the crypto and blockchain space. And they do a very thorough analysis. So they'll be looking over the chain. I'd recommend you go check Certik out if you haven't already, and just look at the reports and see, what it is that they report on. It looks like right now oGPU is about 70% complete in the audit process. And a little note about the private KYC. Now, that means that we're not going to get names of the team members, but what Certik will do behind the scenes is they have a team that will interview each of the team members, and they'll also verify government, IDs, and they also you can look at the entire KYC process, but they also look at addresses, physical addresses of the team member as well, and then tie them to the project. So I actually think in many ways this is better than names and pictures. It doesn't fully prevent any sort of bad actors, and it's a reputable firm that has in their interest to do the best job that they can to verify these guys are not bad actors. So now there are some marketing updates. They redid their logo, as you saw on the first page of the slideshow, and they updated the website. They did a rebranding, added some more information, as well as different social channels. They've got a Medium now, a YouTube, a Discord community as well that they're building. And they did a community-driven marketing campaign with Zeely, which has actually turned out to be pretty fruitful. They've got a lot more people coming into the project in terms of number of holders. And they've also increased the number of people in the Telegram as well. And I think a lot of that has come from the community-driven marketing campaign. Now, there's also another YouTuber has picked up on this project. I think there are a couple more actually coming just organically. The last YouTuber has 70,000 subs. I think his name is Across the Rubicon. He does a great video on oGPU. I'd recommend checking that out. And then Einstein is an influencer on Twitter. He's picked it up as well, and he's got hundreds of thousands of followers. So the word is getting out about oGPU, and I think that's great for the project. Now let's look at some of the updated catalysts and downsides of this project. The testnet is launching in June. I think that'll be a huge catalyst with a lot of steps along the way for that, including the release of the validator, which has been described as kind of the engine of the oGPU network. It's definitely a keystone of the project. So keep your eyes on that. The ERC20 token and Open DEX is also a big catalyst. So we have to wait to learn more information about what exactly this new token standard could do, what its capabilities are. They have increased the number of holdings. I'd put 5,500 currently. I think we're closer to like 1,600. We're getting about 100 a day right now. So that is a good traction and good momentum for the project. Now, the risks and downsides. So obviously, they've got great technology that they're claiming they have, great vision, but can they actually deliver on these goals? And so far, the execution has been very quick. Of course, like as you get bigger and bigger, your changes kind of slow down a bit. The big releases kind of slow down. So we'll see how they develop on the test net and how that kind of is deployed. But I've heard that the test net should be able to complete GPU tasks. So we'll get a lot of information on, how good this network is and how much customers like it, how much devs like it. So that'll be a good learning experience. But obviously, they have to deliver. Now, like I mentioned there, like the moats are not proven, right? There's great vision of the founder does not automatically equal that these moats actually work in practice, and that's the risk I think I'm taking here. That in combination with the TAM, I think worst case with the TAM, this project is comparable to a Nodes AI. It's comparable probably more to like an Akash, something that has storage as well as GPU computing power. So I think the ceiling, whether this technology pans out or not, is high, especially at this market cap they're at now, which is about $22 million. And then you always have the risk of outside hacks or security risks, but most projects have this. Now, I did update the comps, and if you look at the bottom, I put Solana in there. But like I said, this is not a sure thing. So I just wanted to give you an idea of how big it would be if ORC could compete with Solana, and that's a $77 billion market cap. I'm not valuing oGPU at that level right now. Like I said, we need to learn more, but would be very exciting if it could take at least some of the token creation away from Solana's. That would be a pretty big increase in oGPU's potential. So I've said a lot of very good things about this project. I definitely think highly of it, but I want you to keep in mind this is still a very small project, has a lot to prove, and that means it's still a risky project. So this is not personalized financial advice for you. And while I take no promotions on any of the projects that I cover, I do have an investment in this project, which means I probably have a bias. So please just keep that in mind before you make an investment yourself. And here are the scores of market cap. Speculative potential is high, especially at this market cap. Staying power did increase as they've started to execute on their roadmap and prove that they can, meet timelines or exceed timelines that they set out for themselves. And reputation also took a significant increase. Now, while it's not complete doxing, I do think that KYC is slightly better than a photo and a name. So that did have a significant impact on the reputation score for oGPU. And that KYC will make investors more confident in investing in the project. Now, it's not going to capture everyone's trust, but I think it'll be like a 95% of investors that look at the project will feel some more trust in the project because they are KYC'd, especially through Certik. Now, as a recording, the KYC isn't out, but if you want to check the status of it, I'll put the link in the description so you can check. I just, so many updates. I got to finally get a video out so you guys know what's going on with this project. Now we're sitting at a $22 million market cap. My bottom case for this is around 1 billion. I think if they're able to get testnet out and it functions smoothly, more or less, I would increase this bottom case. But for right now, 1 billion, has a little bit of that uncertainty built in, how good the product's gonna be. And then if they are actually able to build that moat, I would put them at a $12 billion market cap. That doesn't include any sort of ORC20 valuation. Like I said, the ORC20 token, if that is separate from the oGPU token, like we talked about in the LCX video, you have to divide those market caps. So even if it is the case that ORC20 is a competitor to Solana, if it's separate, you cannot include it in the market cap of oGPU. So there's a couple more things that we need to know before we start valuing any of that in. So for right now, we're at a $12 billion market cap, and I think that is totally doable if the moats pan out like I think they will. Now, if you have any thoughts about oGPU, maybe you have something I missed or you look at it a little bit differently, throw them in the comments. Would love to hear. And I really appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, I wouldn't be here without you. So can't wait to see you on the next one.